Welcome to another Thursday with me. This is our freedom coaching class. We do this every other Thursday. So for those of you that are getting this message, it means that you have registered already. So thanks for registering. If somebody invited you and you never registered for this before, just go to thefreedomcoaching.com. freedomcoaching.com. You can register on there, and I promise you, we will bombard you with reminders when we're going live, okay? We will not let you forget when we're going live. But here's the better part. If for whatever reason you're with a client or you can't make it to the live version, this goes out on my YouTube. Michael, who's my awesome assistant for many years, he sends out a follow-up message after and sends you guys the link to the YouTube video so you can catch up with it later. What I ask is that if you're on my YouTube, please subscribe. We're trying to help grow that up and make it a good place for content and for information. Those of you, if you do not know who I am, this is your first time here, go to the chat box and go ahead and type in there, like type number 1, first time here. All right, there's no rookies, there's no newbies. Oh, Crystal, number 1, Gus, number 1. All right, so Crystal, Gus, welcome to the family. Like I said, we do this every other Thursday. My name's David Adam Kurz. I am a coach and real estate professional for 20 years now. This is my 20th year selling real estate in South Florida. I've got over $1.2 billion in sales under me. Very exciting times to run a team here in South Florida. And I also coach real estate professionals around the nation, travel. I do written a couple books, actually 3 books to be exact. They're all on Amazon. You can check them out. And I do this for free every other Thursday. So I'm excited to have you guys here with me. Those of you that have your camera off, let's turn cameras on because there's nothing worse than speaking to a bunch of boxes with names on it. All right. So turn those cameras on. Let me see those facial expressions. Let me see how excited you are to be here. I know Carlos doesn't want to turn his on because he didn't do his hair today. I got you, Carlos. It's cool, man. Betty, good to see you, Betty. Amazing stuff, guys. All right, so I'm going to go through some things today, and one of the things that I want to touch base with you guys, Mike, we're recording already? All right, let's get it. All right, so one of the things that I want to touch base with you on is listings, right? We are in this like slippery slope, weird kind of market that nobody's really ever seen before. Nobody's ever seen all the formulas that are happening right now come together at one time and disrupt the market a little bit, right? And so last time we had a major disruption in the market was COVID. The time before that was 2008. So it was from 2008 to 2020 before we had another weird disruption in the market, right? 2008 was the big crash that everybody's familiar with. Why did it crash? Because lenders were giving out loans for $1 million to school janitors, right? As long as you said you made money, they gave you the money, right? It was a very weird situation. And because of that, prices were inflating on a daily basis at a super crazy level. You could sit at one closing table and sell property from one person to another for $1 million, and then sell it from that person to another person for $1 million too at the same table. It was the craziest time. You didn't even have to finalize the mortgage. And because of that, we saw a major crash, right? And in that crash, there was light at the end of the tunnel for the real estate profession because it was a few months of no movement. And then it was a lot of months of REOs and short sales, right? And so there was still a lot of opportunity. And I say that to you, not because it was a good thing for the economy, but because it was a good thing for the movement of real estate. And the movement of real estate happens through us, through the real estate professionals, right? And so you got to start becoming super malleable. Those of you that might be my age might remember Gumby. You got to be super Gumby. You got to be flexible. You got to be stretchable. You got to move around, right? You got to be able to adapt to whatever situation is happening at the moment. 2020 rolls around, COVID hits. Nobody knew that real estate was going to become the most popular thing when COVID hit. I mean, you guys can agree with me. When COVID hit and the world stopped, did you think that you're going to be selling houses in 2 seconds? Absolutely not, right? Like no one thought to themselves, oh my God, I can't leave my house. Every store is closed. Real estate's going to totally boom. Like it didn't even make sense. What happened with COVID was a world event. And the last time we had that sort of boom due to a world event was World War II. So COVID actually had a very similar effect to a world war. And in the effect was that the world had to create shifts in the way that they did business and moved money because people still needed to live. You couldn't go to the office anymore. What did you do? You worked from home. If you worked from home, you made certain adjustments in your home, or you tried to move to a home that had enough space for you to work from home because you foresaw that as a future for a very long period of time. And by the way, even up to today, 2025, there are still people working remote jobs because of what COVID created, right? By the way, Zoom stock before COVID and post COVID. Think about this, right? Like Zoom stock flew through the roof. Most of the world didn't know what a Zoom call was, right? Unless you were a business professional and you use Zoom on a constant basis for communication. Post COVID, everybody knew what a Zoom call was. Everybody. I mean, everybody's got it on the phones, everybody's got it everywhere, right? And so the market shifted, there was a boom. And for the last 5 years, we've seen an upward trend of pricing points. And actually, it's been like that for, I would say, the last 11 to 12 years. We've seen a complete upward trend. Even today, as we face it right now, we may or may not be at the pinnacle point of what the upward trend looks like. So what am I trying to tell you? Right now, depending on what happens with inflation, with interest rates, with job rates, with world economy, with tariffs, with taxes, with everything under the sun, everything that's being spoken about right now could determine whether we see a price correction where prices start to come down, or we continue to see an upward trend in pricing. Because we've never seen all these things happen at one time, it's very hard for us to figure out what's actually going to happen. And that makes it a little bit scary, right? And so when you're communicating with home sellers right now, you have to communicate that you don't know what's going to happen in the market. And there could be a possibility that they might be setting on a ton of equity right now, but they may not have that same equity in 6 months. Or maybe 6 months from now, they might have a little bit more equity. It's a gamble right now, right? And I tell you, just from a personal point, my wife and I are discussing selling our home. And when we're discussing selling our home, we have a certain amount of equity in the home. And we go, should we? Is this that point where we sell and take that equity and run? Or do we sit around and risk the opportunity and have half the equity in 6 months or maybe a little bit more? Who's going to know, right? And so a large part of some of the stuff that I'm talking to sellers about is, why don't you sell and rent something for a year and see where the market goes? Test it out. Some sellers are down to do that. Other sellers are not down to do that, right? I know for you, you're like, man, dude, I want to sell it and help them buy something because I want to make that money. And I get it. But imagine giving somebody the right advice, right? Imagine if they sit for a year, the market upticks by 2%. It's not really a deal killer, right? Then they go, hey, guy, it's been moving. Okay, so we're good. But what if it reduces by 50%? And now they're sitting on all this cash that they pulled out from equity and they rented something for a year. And they go, Dave, thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Nicole. Like, thank you for helping me, save this money just in case there was a price correction, which we could see, because the price correction helps them buy something at a lower price. And some of these people, by the way, are sitting on enough equity to buy that in cash a year from now, right? So the conversation about interest rates doesn't really come into play the way that it used to, right? So now it's like interest rates is, I'm sitting on 2.75% myself. Would I want to leave my house right now and go buy something for 7%? No, I don't want to do that. That'd be dumb. But Do I want to risk not pulling out with this level of equity? Probably not. I probably want to pull this equity and see what happens 12 months from now. Right? And it could put me in the absolute best position in the world, or it could put me in just a little bit worse of a position, because I don't think, this is my professional opinion, I don't think we're going to see a 15% increase in pricing over the next 12 months, right? It's just not going to happen. We've seen this consistently, and there's nothing in the market that says that we're going to see that kind of increase. What are some of the things that could create an increase? Well, there's been conversations about, like, for instance, in the state of Florida, our governor's trying to remove property taxes. So if in the state of Florida they remove property taxes, does that make homes more affordable? Of course it does, right? Because now people won't have to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a year in property taxes, which is the case in some of these Miami-Dade property homes, right? If you do, let's say it's $12,000 a year, just to use an even round number, that's an extra $1,000 a month in a mortgage that I have to put into escrow, plus insurance that's already skyrocketing in Florida. So if I don't have that extra 1,000, do I qualify for more on a house? Yes, it's a big win. More qualifiers come in. There's been conversation federally about getting rid of the IRS and getting rid of taxes in general, like not having to pay taxes, right? Now, what does that really mean? Nobody should be getting super excited about that, because what it really means is you're going to have more money in your paycheck, but everything's going to cost more, right? Because they got to get the money from somewhere. Okay. So everything's going to cost a little bit more, but it gives the illusion of you having more money in your pocket. Again, if you have more money in your pocket, can you qualify for more on a house? Yes. Right. So those certain things would help uptick and drive more buyers to the market, and then decrease the amount of time that listings are on the market. Listings right now, you're starting to see a trend where they're sitting on the market quite a bit longer. For those of you that have been in the industry since 2020 or 2019 or something like that, I'm here to tell you this is normal. What's not normal is selling a home in 5 seconds, right? What's not normal is putting a house on the market and all of a sudden it just disappears from the market. What's not normal is having an open house with 100 people in line outside. And that was post-COVID, right? We were letting in 1 to 2 people at a time, and then we get like 18 offers, and then we'd have to sit in front of the seller with 18 offers and discuss the different offers, right? That's not normal. That is price increase time. That is abstract time. That is abnormalities that just, they'll always happen in the market some way, somehow, because this market is very cyclical. Okay. So now, what is normal? Honestly, it is normal to see a house on the market for 8 to 9 months. Where do you think the 12-month listing came from? Right? It was normal for people to do a listing agreement for 12 months because they understood that it could take up to 12 months to move a property, no matter how much marketing you did, by the way. Right? And marketing back then was a little bit different than it is now. We can play with marketing now, which we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And it created, back then it was who you knew. Now it's how present you are in the market. So once upon a time, it was who you knew and who you could pick up the phone and say, hey, I've got this new listing you need to come check out. I'm going to host this Brokers Open. I want you guys to come check it out. Or investors, hey, I've got this new listing. I need you to come check it out, right? It was a little bit different. Now we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook, we've got X, we have LinkedIn, we have all these different platforms. We have Google, we have Zillow, we have Realtor.com, we have, you name it, we're syndicating on hundreds of websites all over the world. And we're showcasing the properties that we have on the table, but so is everyone else. So how are we leveling up and indicating a different situation? So what we're going to talk about today is some of the ways that you would gain some of this business and other ways that you maintain the business and how you handle it throughout the process. Because the number one complaint of a seller that didn't sell is their realtor didn't do anything and they never knew what their realtor was doing. And Sometimes, 95% of the time, that was just simply a lack of communication. That's all it was. It was the real estate agent not reporting to the seller what they were doing, what was happening in the market, how things were moving. None of that stuff was existent. And so the seller just assumed that this realtor put a sign out front, put it on the MLS, and prayed that somebody would come, the PPP. Post, put on MLS, pray, right? And so now, now you've got a seller that's frustrated. And so you come and you say, wow, I have very high levels of communication. Let me tell you how. Okay. So now some of the types of marketing we talked about is digital and traditional, right? So the digital stuff is everything that's online. It's email, it's media, it's websites, search engines, podcasts, things of that nature. By the way, it's time to start having fun. Okay. If you do not have a podcast, create a podcast. If you don't know what to talk about, go to ChatGPT and go, give me the 10 best topics I can discuss in a podcast. I'm a real estate agent, right? And if you don't have money to buy beautiful podcast studios and all this other stuff, just buy yourself a couple little inexpensive wireless mics and put a cell phone on a tripod with a ring light, and that's it. Put your cell phone on airplane mode, leave the Bluetooth on so you can connect the microphones to it through Bluetooth, and just go. And sit down and talk to somebody. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because if you're having trouble moving a property, sometimes it helps to have the podcast at that property. And so we'll imagine being able to sit at that property, host a podcast at that property, and in the middle of your podcast, discuss that property a little bit. Gives it more access, more showcase, more stuff, because people want to hear what you have to say. And then you're like forcibly showing them this property, right? It's like a commercial in the middle of a podcast, right? I don't know how many podcasts you guys listen to, but the most popular ones are always talking about something, right? They'll like get into their podcast, they're political, and they're talking about the president and the Congress and the this and the that. And then they go, but if you can't see that, then you need to see with these glasses right here. You could get them at glasses.com, right? Like, because they're getting paid for that. You guys are getting paid for selling that house, so sell the house, right? And that's just one topic, one idea. Traditional encompasses all the forms of marketing commonly known, right? Prior to online resources such as print, cold calling, door knocking, billboards, radio, word of mouth, those are the types of things. With those two forms of marketing, there are different types of marketing. Use of content and informational topics, which is like the podcast, where we're talking about using content, creating blogs about your property, doing that type of stuff. You could have conversational approaches. To me, that's like going out and door knocking and having conversations with people. By the way, I know that many of you are not fans of door knocking. I am. I love it. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get in front of as many people as you can. Hit 50, 100 doors. Talk to as many people as you can. Shake as many hands as you can, because everyone else is on Instagram. So you got to do that. But Instagram is not a personal approach. When I knock on somebody's door, I get to meet them face to face, and I provide something of value. Hey, by the way, I want to give you two things. One, I have a listing down the street here, and I'd love to leave you a flyer on my listing down the street in case you know anybody and you want to choose your own neighbor, right? And number two, the second paper is what's happening in the market in the area, so you get a good idea of what's happening in the market. And that's when I door knock. Sophilia says, when do you door knock? Weekends and evenings, my favorite times, right? If you go on a Monday at 2 p.m., you're going to miss 80% of the homes, right? So evenings, I go after 6 p.m. and I'll go Saturdays and Sundays, use them up. Sundays, save for the afternoon, a lot of churchgoers, right? Saturdays, I like to go early, maybe 10 a.m., Don't be the jerk knocking on people's doors 8:30 in the morning. Please don't do that, right? On a Saturday at 8:30 in the morning. Don't do that. They will not like you. You will not earn their business, right? But that's one of my favorite ways of communicating with people and that's only second to getting on the phone, calling my sphere of influence, and inviting them out for a cup of coffee. That's second to that, because I think that this right here is the number one way to drive business. This cell phone right here that I have in my hand is the number one way to drive business. But you notice I didn't say text my sphere of influence and invite them out for a cup of coffee. I said, call my sphere of influence and have a cup of coffee. You guys got to get out of this fear mentality, this scarcity fear that you have to talk to people. It's been created through texting and social media where we can hide behind a camera and hide behind a keyboard. Stop that. Pick up the phone, call somebody. Hey, it's been a long time. Haven't spoken to you in a while. You want to grab a coffee, a cigar, a drink, whatever you want. Just take them out somewhere and have a conversation with them and be human. And then let them know what you do and ask them for business or someone that they can refer you to. This is solid stuff, guys. I'm telling you right now, you have to bring humanity back to this business. Okay? You have to. Now, events. I love events. Events are great things, right? What you can do with events is you can host market trend events. So I go to a particular neighborhood, I go to the community center of that neighborhood, or I go to there's different ways you could do it. YMCA's, JCC's, those type of community centers, or if the community has an HOA and they have a clubhouse, you go to the HOA and you say, hey, I'd like to host a market analysis here in the clubhouse. We'll bring food, we'll bring some drinks and stuff like that and invite the homeowners in to learn about the market. Can I do that? Most of them are going to be okay with you doing it. And most of them will actually put it in their newsletter. They'll send out an email for you. And then you go door knock and meet people and say, hey, by the way, this Saturday at 2 p.m. or this Thursday at 7 p.m. I like Thursday at 7 p.m. over Saturday, by the way, right? This Thursday at 7 p.m., I'm going to do something right here in your clubhouse where we're going to talk about what's happening in the market in real estate right now. I would love for you to come. Just here's the paper. There's a QR code there. Click there, register. You can do an Eventbrite or your own landing pages. Depends how techy you are, right? And what information do you think you want to gather? Name, email address, phone number, address, right? Now they come to the event and you do this great showcase on what's happening in the market, how many properties have moved in the last quarter, okay? How many how many properties have been listed in the last quarter, what the list to sale ratio is, what the average price point in the area is, what the high price point in the area is and why, and what the low price point in the area is and why, right? And then you could break it down by 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 5 bedrooms, right? Because some of these communities, they're pretty cookie cutter. Most of the houses are very similar, right? And so you could play into that field as well. You could talk about what a corner lot gives you, what a remodel gives you, what a pool gives you in value, right? Because some people have this misconception that if they spend $100,000 to get a pool, it'll raise their price by $300,000, right? And it really doesn't. Okay. And so this is conversation that you can have with these sellers. Guess what? If you do a really great job, and by the way, don't get discouraged if you have 2 people show up the first time. That's okay. You record that shit and you market it like you had 700 people in that room. All right? Because what's going to happen is the next time you do this, a quarter from now, next quarter, and you go back, maybe this time you get 10 people, and a quarter from that, maybe next time you get 15 people, and a quarter from that, maybe next time you get 20 people, and then people start speaking amongst each other and saying, hey man, when's that quarterly meeting happening about the market? And then your sign starts to show up in front of more houses. And you can dominate neighborhoods that way, right? Relationships and sphere of influence, we just talked about that right now. Niches, always having a niche, which is really huge. Affiliations, having affiliations with attorneys, having affiliations with lenders, having affiliations with what types of attorneys? Divorce attorneys are phenomenal for referrals, okay? Trust attorneys are phenomenal for referrals. Family attorneys are phenomenal for referrals, okay? What's the other one? uh, 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 Was it foreclosure defense attorneys? Phenomenal for referrals, right? Like there are so many different types of attorneys that you could just show up to their office, give them a nice bottle of wine and say, hey, listen, I'd like to be the person. Can I be in contact with you every once in a while? Can I send you emails with information on the type of stuff that I'm doing? And they're going to say, sure, no problem. They're going to give you a card. You're going to give them a card. And you're going to make sure that you talk to this person twice a month and you're sending them emails once a week. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to stay in their face until they bring you business. When they bring you business and you close that deal, a lot of these attorneys have a real estate license, believe it or not. Okay. So you tell them, cool, you got a real estate license? Yes. Happy to give you a referral. Because for most attorneys, the real estate license is not that hard for them to get. They don't have to go through the whole legal and everything. They just got to take a small ethics class and they get their license. Right? So a lot of them will get it for the purpose of making extra money by referring the business. So ask them, do you have a real estate license? Yes, I do. Okay, cool. I'm happy to give you 25% referral on everything you sent me. Why not? You weren't going to have the business before anyway. If they don't have a real estate license, say, man, if you had one, I would love to give you a referral. Obviously, I don't want to do anything illegal. And they're going to go, I don't want your referral. Just take good care of my clients. Maybe they say that. Or maybe they go, really? Shit, we go get my license. Where can I go? Refer them to a school. Let them go. Right? Let them show them how to make some more money. Show them how to add a couple $1,000s to their legal fees. Right? All right. Branding. Obviously, your brand. I will tell you in real estate, you are your brand. Right? So your face, your logo, all that has to match up and be together. Okay. Influencers. How many influencers in real estate do you know? And then how many influencers outside of real estate do you know? If there are influencers that you know outside of real estate, you want to talk to these influencers and say, hey, how could we work together so that you could help push my business a little bit? Now, believe it or not, there are influencers on social media that will charge you $1,000 or charge you $500 to do a reel with you, to post your information on social media, to talk about a home you have for sale, something like that. And these guys have millions of followers, right? And so you never know who they're going to get in front of. And then they point it to your Instagram. Hey, follow, you know, follow Blanca at this, you know, at this Instagram, blah, blah, at Blanca, you know, whatever.com. And they'll go and they'll follow you. And now you get all these new followers to present more homes to. So there are opportunities out there with influencers, groups and communities, from Facebook groups to community stuff out there. If you have Meetup, there's an app called Meetup. If you ain't got nothing to do one night and you feel like networking, open up Meetup and see what's happening. If there's a lawyers get together, go hang out at the lawyers get together. Go meet some lawyers. If there's a doctors get together, go hang out at the doctors get together. Go meet some doctors. Right? They're gonna say, "Oh, are you a physician?" No, I'm not. I'm a real estate agent that specializes in helping physicians buy and sell homes. Then the next day, you had a lawyer event. Or are you a realtor? Or are you a lawyer? What practice? Oh, no, 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 no. I'm a real estate agent that helps attorneys make a little more money by referring me business. Right? Like there's so many names. The app is called Meetup. MEET up, Meetup. All right, so email. Constant email. There's a theory that says in marketing, there's a theory that says you must contact your people through phone, through text, and the sale is done in the email. So what do they mean by that? They mean that when you first talk to people, you talk to them 7, 8 times, they're still not going to be ready. But if you have a consistent balance of emails going to them on automation all the time on a weekly basis, they will see your name and that brand will be imprinted in their minds. There are many of you right now that get emails from me, from Greg Cardone, from, you know, whoever else. You're getting all these different emails and you know their names and recognize them and you respect their hustle, right? And you may never read their emails, by the way. You might click that little box to the left and hit the little trash can button, but you still had to read their name and the subject of the email before you decided it was trash, right? And so a lot of times when that person, when you catch them on that ready day, they're going to see your email, know that you're real estate related, open the email, see what you're offering, and maybe give you a call or email you back and say, hey, I'd like to discuss selling my house. It will happen if you're consistent with email. Video as well. Video is the most digested and absorbed type of media in the world right now, right? That's why YouTube is so popular. That's why Instagram came out with Reels and TikTok is famous. It's all video, okay? So do more videos. Search engines, obviously you want, if you have a website, you want to do a good job at ensuring that your website is SEO, right? You want SEO on there. You want to make sure that that's good. But Dave, I don't know how to put content on my website that's SEO for Google or whatever. Cool. ChatGPT. I have a website. Here is the website name, www.iamthebestrealtorintheworld.com. I would like to input information about myself that would be SEO searchable for Google, blah, 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 blah. This is the type of information I'm doing. Can you create a paragraph for me? Headline and paragraph. Boom. It'll spit it out for you. Copy, paste, and you're good to go. As long as it fits you. Right? And by the way, you could give it significantly more information than that so that it ties closer to who you are. If you have a biography, you go use my biography for feedback, right? And you paste your biography in there and it'll spit you out something about you and real estate and be SEO great for your area. Let it know where you are. I sell real estate in, Timbuktu, wherever, and blah, blah, blah. And it'll use that in the SEO as well. Okay. This is by the way, guys, this is the free version. I pay the $200 a month version of ChatGPT just so you understand how vested I am in this. Okay. And there's a $20 version that is good enough, to be honest, right? Like, unless you're running reports like I am and creating courses like I am, unnecessary to pay the 200. Okay. But the $20 version, please cough it up and use it all the time. And then, of course, there's the paid ads and leads right there, right? Now, let me tell you my theory on paid ads, okay? I believe that you should never pay for ads until you fully exhausted everything inside your cell phone. I believe that you have enough contacts in your cell phone to make a well-deserved six-figure income. And I've seen it happen time and time again with the hundreds of people that I have coached and the thousands of people that I have spoken to on stage. I've seen it happen time and time and time and time again. And here's what I'll tell you. If you don't know how to convert the people that know, like, and trust you, you will not be able to successfully convert people that have no knowledge of you. This is the easier conversion right here on your cell phone, right? So I believe that you go full hardcore on every single person on your phone and you ask them for business or a referral to business. And then if you got to a certain point where you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year on the people on your phone plus their referrals, and you go, I want to level up, then you go buy some leads. Or I want to grow a team, then you go buy some leads for the team. But if you grow a team, you tell your team members, this is what I want you to do. I want you to completely exhaust this before I let you have any leads. Perfect example. My team, the Kurz team here in Miami, Florida. You're not allowed to receive leads on my team until you've closed 2 personal deals of your own on the team. I need to see that you can convert the people that already like you to trust you to convert people that don't know you. Right? So that's what I would tell you guys. Go hard on this right here. Okay? And start getting those listings on the market. All right? Now, on this last half of our conversation, I want to talk about the 3 levels or the 3 positions of where we go with listings, right? There's pre-listing, then there's the active, then there's the sold. And I'm going to show you a couple things that'll help you understand why we do things the way that we do it. When we book a listing appointment, one of the very first things that we do, and I see some questions coming up in the chat. If you have questions, throw them in the chat, and at the very end, I'll run through them, and I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can for you guys, okay? So if you have questions, just feel free to throw them in there as much as you want, and I'll come back to them. So when I have a new listing, let's say you start exhausting this cell phone and you start grabbing some people who are say, you know what? I'm just gonna pick names. Carol, I'm super interested in selling my house. I've been really thinking about it. Right? And you go, okay, cool. Let's make an appointment. When do you want to make an appointment with? Well, today's March 6th, 12:38. How's Saturday at 10 a.m.? I can be by your house. Right? Yeah, absolutely. That works out great. First things first, you need to call and text the seller the day before to confirm that time and ensure all decision makers will be present. So if I'm calling, John Smith, and he's married to Jane Smith, and I know this is going to be a joint decision, I don't want to just meet with John. I want to meet with them both. I want John and Jane sitting at the table, and I make that very obvious. Hey, by the way, I just want to make sure that all decision makers are going to be sitting at the table with us so that we can come to a consensus together. Right? And then you get that. Reiterate that you're going to bring some marketing insights and strategic marketing plans. Okay. Now, what's the next thing I do? As soon as I hang up, I confirm it with a text message, everything that we just spoke about. And then I'm going to send pre-listing information. The first thing that I'm going to send to them in an email is a personal introduction or professional introduction to who I am and who my team is. Okay. In that introduction, there are going to be some testimonials and success stories and a summary of our unique marketing approach. That's what I'm going to send them. I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to share this with you guys. Okay. This is what it looks like. This is what I send out. Okay. This is my cover page. Has a short bio about me. Talks about my manager, which is she's obviously my chief operating officer, and then my team leader, we call her my team captain, right? And so this is about our team, or team focus, leadership, evolution, and team focus. This is some of the awards we've received: Entrepreneurial Startup of the Year, Most Innovative Marketing Award, nominated for Inman's Most Innovative Brokerage in the country, 100 Most Influential Real Estate Agents, Catalyst Award by the Millionaire Immersion Program. We've helped over 3,200 families move. We've done over $1 billion in sales. We've been featured in Mansions Global, The Real Deal, Inman, community newspapers, PR Newswire, Curb Magazine, and New York Times, right? How do buyers find their homes? So now we're telling sellers, we're giving them a resource. We're giving sellers information on how they find homes, how buyers find them. Then we talk to them on how we get their home sold. Talk about our network and our reach, our photography and videography. And we talk about signs and posts, right? By the way, I know signs and posts, they might seem like, why would you even talk about that? It's so normal. But no, if you don't put it in there, the seller's not going to know. You have to talk to them as if they don't sell houses all the time, because they don't. We do. They don't. Right? So we have to talk to them in a way where they have to truly understand, in layman's terms, what we're going to be doing. Okay? Then we talk about digital ads, premium exposure, email blasts, national and international reach, our open houses, or prints and mailers. Then we show them our print marketing tools and all the great tools that we offer, right? 188 pieces of marketing material. Those of you that know, you know. Okay. The sales timeline. We talk about the pre-listing, what happens during pre-listing. We talk about what happens during listing and active. We talk about what happens when the offer is under contract. We talk about closing day, right? Then we show some of the houses that we have sold, right? I'll put some of my fun ones, everything from 400 to 2.2 to a million to 2.8 to 700 to 450 to 545, a variance of stuff. Why? Because I don't only focus in the multi-millions, and I don't only focus in the middle, right? Listen, you give me a listing, I'm taking it, baby, because I know how to do it, right? And then I have my testimonials on here, okay? 5-star reviews on Google, right? And then there's a final page. How many of y'all would like me to send this to you? All right, awesome. I'm going to send this to everybody who's on this Zoom, okay? I'm going to send this to each one of you so that you can, I swear to God, emulate it as much as you want, okay? Emulate it as much as you want. There's no secret here. Just make sure it's your reviews, right? Like, you have your Google My Business up and you got some reviews on there, put your reviews on there. If you don't have reviews on there, call your last 10 clients and go, I need you to write a review for me on Google. Here's the link. I'm going to text you the link right now. Can you do this for me today? Right? And so they're going to say yes. And then after a couple of days, you'll have 5 or 6 reviews that you can use on there. And by the way, people will look at those reviews, and some savvy people will go to Google to see if it's true. Right? Here's the other thing. A lot of you are going, but Dave, I haven't been featured on mobile, on Mansion Global, and The Real Deal, and the community newspaper, and Inman, and PR Newswire, and Curb Magazine, and New York Times. You're right. You haven't. So pay to get featured. Ta-da, right? Get a PR person, pay them $1,000, $1,500, whatever. You got a new listing, or you got something special that happened in your life, or you want to talk about your business and get featured in some of these outlets. And then all of a sudden, people can Google it, and you're on the New York Times featured, or you're on Inman Magazine featured, right? I used to write blogs on Inman all the time, so I've definitely been featured there quite a bit, right? Okay. Now, how do buyers find their homes? This is information that I seriously pulled up from the NAR. That's what this is. NAR has a whole section that says how buyers find their homes. This is where I got this information, right? By the way, could I have gone to ChatGPT and done this? 1,000,000%. And then you just could have designed it on Canva any which way you wanted to, right? Okay. Next piece. So that's what I'm sending them. And then if you're really cool and you're really slick about it, you can send comparables to them before you even get there. You can send them the CMA, your comparative market analysis, through email with this package before you even get there. You know why? Because they get to sit on that for 24 hours, and the whole price conversation gets much easier when you sit at the table. And by the way, if they receive it and it says 400,000 and they call you and they go, hey, no, there's no way. We want to list for 600. You might save yourself an hour at a listing appointment because you're not going to take a listing for 600 that's worth 400. Why would you do that? So that you can have another house on the market that didn't move and hurt your reputation? No. Some people say, yeah, but I get a sign in the yard. You know how else you can get a sign in the yard? Hi, my name is David. I door knock that neighborhood. I promise you I'll get a sign in the yard. Right? So I'll send them CMA in advance. And then for those of you that are that have great marketing material like we do at LPT, I'll take my marketing box with me, my 9 Critical Questions magazine. Let me touch on that for a second. All right, because some of you are LPT, some of you are not. But let me explain this. 9 Critical Questions can be created by anybody. You can do this on ChatGPT. You could go to ChatGPT and go, what are 9 critical questions that a seller should ask a real estate professional before listing their home? And what are the proper answers? And ChatGPT will give it to you. Go to Canva, create your nice little pamphlet, save it as a PDF, make it super sexy with your photos and backgrounds and everything like that, and email that in advance so that they know. But you need to know these questions because you're going to answer them at the table when you're listing appointment, right? And then you walk in with any types of marketing materials that you may have taken with you. Here's a package that I put together for a listing that I'm going to visit in a little while. And guess what I have in there? I have my magazines. I have my stuff in here ready to go. 9 critical questions right there. Okay. And I'm taking that with me. Okay. And I'm going to leave that information with them because printed material stays on people's counters, kitchen counters, dining tables, living room areas. Like it stays there for a while and it has staying power. All right. All right. Let's get straight to the appointment. I show up to the appointment. I'm showing up 10 minutes early and I stay in my car and I knock on the door at exactly the time I'm supposed to be there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you show up late, you have already given them the impression that you can't do the job. All right. I don't care what your excuse is. I got stuck in traffic, whatever the case. None of that works. None of that's an excuse. Right. We have way too much technology in the world today to pull up traffic maps, use Waze, the app Waze or Google Maps, and know exactly what time you need to leave your house to get there on time. And you check on that consistently so you show up on time. Because if you show up late, you're done. You're already battling, you're already swimming upstream. But if you show up right on time, if you say you were going to be there at 3 p.m. and at 3 p.m. you knock on that door, it's a winning situation. Because guess what? Some of the other folks that are going to interview for the same position, they're going to show up late. And they're going to remember that you showed up on time. Okay? All right. Next thing is, when you go to this appointment, the most important thing you can do is listen. Those of you that have been to my trainings, you know that I'm very, very specific about this. Listen, listen, listen. Okay? So we go back to this and we go, I have a rule that I call the 10, 80, 10 rule. For those of you that have heard this before, good. I'm going to drill this into your head. Okay? 10% of this meeting is intro and framing. This is your listing appointment. You're sitting with them right now. 10% of this appointment is intro and it is framing. Dress professionally, show up on time, Be mentally prepared. This is a job interview for the biggest asset this person owns. Keep that in mind. So take this so seriously, right? And you set the tone. I'm here to understand your goals and ensure the best possible outcome for you. Ask permission to take notes and then go right into listening. Your 80% is listening. This is called the discovery and understanding stage, okay? Discovery and understanding. Okay, in the discovering and understanding stage, right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to ask why they're selling. We're going to listen for key motivators. We're going to let them share their expectations, their concerns, their needs, and you're not going to present any solutions and talk about your marketing or yourself or your company or anything until you truly understand their why, their expectations, their concerns, and their needs. Let them talk. Okay, you're there interviewing, let them talk. Take notes along the way. Take notes along the way. Because so many of us go into a listing appointment right now, and the person at the other side of the table, the seller, they go, okay, go. And you're like, look at me, look at me, look at me. My company does this. Look at me, look at me, look at me. This is what I've done. Look at me. Because that's what the interview sounds like, by the way. Right? And then they go, okay, well, thanks for coming. And we'll talk to the other persons that come here. We're going to be interviewing a few more people. And you go, oh, okay. Well, can I follow up with you? Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, no problem. Right? By the way, how many of us have gone through that before? Yes. Right? It's happened to me. Right? Okay. And so if you go into listening mode, which nobody else is going to do, guys, nobody else is going to do this. Everybody else is going to go look at me. If you walk in there with the intention of saying, let me look at you, what do you need? Why are you selling this house? When you've gathered all this information, by the way, every piece of information that they give you and everything you write down in your notes is ammunition for the final stage, which is when you start talking again and you provide solutions. That's when you start talking again, provide solutions. What am I providing solutions for? Do I go through the whole look at me presentation? No, I go to exactly what their concerns are, what their expectations were, what their needs were, and their why. I go exactly to that, and I provide solutions for each one of those things, the things that they expressed to me that were important. And sometimes I have all my marketing material with me, right there, on the floor, right next to me, and I don't even open it because there was no need. Other times people go, well, what's in the box? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Let me show you all the types of marketing material we bring to the table. Right? Some people will geek out about it. Other people won't. Some people won't even ask. They won't care because you addressed their concerns. You brought their things to light. They feel like you listened to them. They felt heard. And that's one of three ways that you can sell to somebody. Okay? The most critical sales method is how you make people feel. And if they feel heard and you've answered their particular concerns, you're winning right away. You're winning. Okay? Reinforce all of the stuff that you sent pre-listing. Okay? Allow your clients to choose their price. So what happens? When we get to the pricing thing, you say, hey, last night I sent you some comparables to look at. Did you have a chance to look at that? Yes, we did. How did you feel about the price that I came up with? We love it. Okay, you move forward. If they go, Dave, you know what, man? I was looking at that price. I think we can get a little more. You go, okay, cool. Let's do an exercise together. And you pull out the printed paperwork of the stuff that you sent them, and you lay out the comparables in front of them. And you highlight certain things on these comparables. Bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, price sold. You highlight those things and you go, this one sold for X dollars. This one here sold for X dollars and it was a lot more updated. This one here sold for X dollars right around your square footage and count looks like your home. this one here sold for X dollars, but it was destroyed and ugly and nasty and, needed a complete remodel. And you go through the whole process. You go, based on the information that you have in front of you, do you think we should go higher? And 99 times out of 100, they're going to give you the right answer. They're going to give you the answer that you need. Okay? And then it allows you to do a couple things. One, you list the home for what it should be listed for. And two, you gave them the opportunity to choose the price. You gave them the opportunity to name their value, name their price. They felt like they were involved in choosing the number. What a win, right? Now, if the listing is not signed at the table, because I always bring a printed copy with me, right? If the listing agreement is not signed at the table, I always bring a printed copy with me. It's all pre-filled out except for the price. I've already signed everything. So we sit there, we agree on the price, we agree on the price. Okay, great. I write it in, and then I hand it to them and I show them where to sign. And I explain the contract to them. Know your listing agreements. You'd be surprised how many real estate agents are in this market that have never read the listing agreement. They just know where to fill in the blanks. Sad, pathetic. If that's you, read it. Okay? Now, day after, they don't sign it. On the day after, you call them to thank them for their time, and you ask them if they have any additional questions. Next few days, you provide some relevant market updates. If anything's recently hit the market or recently sold, answer any concerns, reinforce the listing with that your team or yourself is the best decision. Every 2 to 3 days until they're signed, stay in touch with them with valuable insights. Come with value, because value is what gets you paid. Okay? Value is what gets you paid. All right? Now, I'm going to go to this list, see if there's any questions in here. If you have questions, pump them in there. Beautiful morning, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm seeing here. When should you door knock? We talked about that already. When do you recommend leaving the people you speak, or what do you recommend leaving the people you speak with? We talked about that already, the listing that I have and market analysis for the area. What is the best strategy to earn a listing? We just talked about all the different ways you can earn listings. So go through there. No need to answer now. I'm going to answer now. Why I do hesitate to start the call, but once I'm there, it just flows so easy. But I'm saying like terrified at the point where I get anxiety. How do I know? How do I go about this? All right. So Blanca, the exact answer is you have to do it more often, right? I'm really, really good on video. Do you know why? Because I do it a lot. And I'm really, really good on stage in front of thousands of people. Do you know why? I do it a lot. Funny thing is, when I first started, I was terrified. Listen, I was so terrified you could hear my voice shaking when I was on stages or video, okay? But over time, you just get so comfortable doing it because you've done it so many times that your brain and your body become accustomed to it. By the way, if I go 6 months without stepping on a stage, that next time I step on a stage, I'm Eminem. Palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti all over my shirt. Like, you know what I mean? I'm freaking out, right? And people think it comes so natural, but it doesn't. It comes through repetition. The more repeated you are in the actions that you take, the easier they'll come to you. Like anything else, if I want to run 10 miles, I have to run a half a mile, then a mile, then a mile and a half, then 2 miles. I got to do it, right? I got to do it.
My issue is that, you see, I'm bilingual and my English and Spanish are basically equal, But when I get this nervous, I forget both of my languages. Like to the point that I can't speak. Like you see me and then it's like, people is like, what? What? I'm like, it just don't come out. I can't honestly think
That's cool.
neither on one or the other.
Again, you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. As easily as you spoke to me right now in front of 37 people, you keep doing it. Right? Think about that. You just went on video and spoke to me clearly in front of 37 people. I had no problem doing that. You can call somebody you know. By the way, it's people that you know. So you definitely call somebody you know. Gus, what's the name of the app? Meetup. Let's see. What else do I have? I see some emails in there. I'm going to send it by text, guys. Can you capitalize on the accomplishments of the brokerage? Absolutely. All right. So this was a good one. Can you capitalize on the accomplishments of the brokerage? 1,000,000%. Okay. Especially when you're a new agent, you capitalize on the team that you're with, the broker that you're with. I always talk about my brokerage, and I've been selling for 20 years, guys. Okay. So if people want to know who's on my side, I can address that when I'm addressing my pitch at the end. Okay. I've been on your website and see what you're showing. It's very impressive. Blah, blah, blah. Marketing plan. How do I talk to sellers? I've tried, just got me 7% listing agreement and very generous buyer compensation and bonus. Man, you're doing good. This is easy work for you. Okay.
It's funny
What about
because you actually, I'm so sorry. You actually mentioned, I got so excited. I went to your website and I was just reading through whatever you have in there. And it's something that caught my eye, which by the way, I have even the seller packet and everything. And I did the whole entire marketing plan. And he was so impressed. He said, nobody ever takes the time anymore. And again, he was very generous.
and you got a 7% commission.
7%, and they giving almost $2,000 bonus to the buyer's agent.
What a win, guys. I mean, look, round of applause for you because that's amazing, right? But that's why, because you came with value. You took the time, you brought information to the table, which most people aren't going to do. That's why I'm telling you, most people are not going to show up on time. Most people are not going to listen, and most people are not going to bring value. Okay. What about the D says, what about the commission conversation? The commission conversation, I actually tried not to have the conversation. I've already put 6% on my listing agreement, right? So I try to avoid the conversation completely. Believe it or not, if you can listen to people about their real issues and address their issues, they're in. And when you show them the contract, you go through the explanation and you explain to them what that 6% does and how you contribute to the buyer's agent and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They just kind of flow through it. Some people are going to say, well, can I get a discount? Say, I don't really do that. You've provided so much value up until that point. Why would you give a discount? So just say, I don't really do that. Don't get nervous. Don't flutter. Don't go, sometimes. No, none of the time. I don't do that. Right? Now, does it mean that you're always going to win that battle? No. Sometimes people are going to push back. Maybe you're going a little bit less. You go 5.5 or something like that. It's going to happen. Everything's negotiable. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I try to provide so much value up front that it becomes a negated conversation. It never happens. Okay. Practice, practice, practice. Role play with people. Role playing with people is huge. All right, I saw a lot of folks send their emails in here. If you've registered for this class, I'm going to send it out by text message so that you guys can see it in the text. Okay, Michael, I'll share it with you. Just share them the Google link so that they can download it and check it out. Any questions for me whatsoever, guys, while you're on here? Awesome. You're welcome, Elizabeth. All right, guys, no questions. I wish you a ton of luck in the next couple weeks. I want to see you guys come back with some listings and use this strategy and put it in place. This is going to be on YouTube, so you can come back and listen to that second half and roll through the process. And we'll see you soon, guys. Y'all take care.